Well, they finally did. After a long time, the Glaive Lord finally got some actually nice looking buffs, and the way they decided to do these buffs is by reducing the orbital attacks cooldown. So you guys see these glaives orbiting around it. So the instances at which they apply that, let me just show you guys. So I'm going to send 15 BFBs, and so as soon as these glaives come into contact with the BFBs, basically the damage is going to get applied a lot faster. And this went from 0.1 to 0.08 seconds, which basically means that when you do the maths, all in all, this turns out to be 20% more damage. Now 20% is actually a significant number, and it's overall damage because they did rescale some other stuff. So let's jump into a game and talk about the other changes, because the entire top pad got changed as well. So we're playing on Adora's Temple, and I actually wanted to play this map in particular because this is a very cool map to showcase all of the other changes that happened to the entire top pad. So first off, let me get this thing going to the improved ranks. We're gonna go for the bottom path eventually, so this is gonna be a 302, 402, and eventually into a 502. And do we have this? Yeah, we do. Okay, so a very interesting top pad change that happened was that the Glaive Ricochet's price got reduced by half. So it was 1.2k and now it's $600. But at the same time, the Pierce got reduced from 60 to 30, and then the bounce distance got reduced from 90 to 60. And I think that this is the perfect map in which we're gonna get to test this, because as you guys can see, when we get to the third tier, we're gonna need these glaives to bounce all around the map, and then basically at the location at which the glaives stop is going to mark the spot at which, you know, this thing has reached its limit. So I think that that's why Adora's Temple is a very nice map. And talking about the more glaives, I think that this thing actually got a very ridiculous buff. Its attack cooldown went from 0.6 to 0.4 seconds. So they just outright gave the top pad like an extra like 33% buff, which is insane, because this thing now means that the millipad, which also gives attack speed, is less important. So now they kind of want to, they're telling us that you want to go for the bottom path on this thing. And yeah, as soon as this round ends, there we go, we defended it. So let's get the Glaive Ricochet and let's move this guy to first now, and let's actually see the new changes. So these bounces actually are a little bit changed. The Pierce is a little bit, oh no, never mind, what am I talking about? So they actually reduced the bounce distance, but this thing doesn't seem like it cares, honestly. I mean, it just wipes everything, and the fact that they're like seeking projectiles, oh my god, this thing doesn't care. This is like a straight up buff, isn't it? Round 21 has a bunch of yellow balloons, and as soon as this one ends, we're gonna be able to see the bounces in action. I think this is a perfect round, and also I feel like I just want to keep the third tier to see how good it is, because I know that the fourth tier is just super good now. It owns, I think, and this is one of those OCD rounds. So the balloons are gonna start becoming a little bit stronger, but look at these bounces. So this is where we're gonna see the new Pierce slash the bouncing distance changes, but I don't feel like they're very noticeable, guys. I'm gonna be honest. Like, this thing seems to be bouncing like across half the map, and it's dealing with everything, so I'm not exactly worried about these changes. I actually feel like the top hat is just so much better. Yeah, so for example, on a round like this one, you have way too many balloons, so there's no way the glaive misses, right? So just gonna keep bouncing halfway across the map, and this is actually really nice because we do need the money. I went all out onto the 020 village, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but we are gonna have the money. It's 3.2k for the more glaives, and then when we get it, you know that these small balloons are not gonna be an issue, especially with the newly added attack speed, which I'm really curious to see how good it is. So we're gonna have the money for it in a second. And yeah, oh no, going first. Oh my god, that was barely, did you guys see that? He barely sniped it. And I'm spamming this. Let me buy it. Yes, finally, more glaives. And oh my god, look at these guys bounce, because the bounce distance on these guys has not been changed, but the attack speed has. So this thing attacks like crazy now. And we don't even have the mill cross pad. Oh my god, those bounces. Okay, so let's start getting ready for the Moab. I bought the sniper just for that reason specifically. So let me get a 2. Are we gonna have the money for 203? I would really love to have the money for a semi-auto. So as soon as, yes, there we go, that's very good. So let's switch this guy to strong now. I think that's gonna be the better targeting. He's gonna be set on strong, I think, until the end of the game, and this is exactly what I wanted to buy for the Moab, and I hope this is enough because we have $500. So we're gonna need to see this. I think it's, yeah, I think the, oh my god, what am I talking about? The boomerang just too good. Okay, so I switched the sniper to first because this guy was turning all of these stronger blues into reds and blues. So I'm just gonna keep it on first for a while now, at least until we get into these, you know, 50s. So let me just see how fast, guys. This thing is attacking way too fast, isn't it? Like, this is not a 402. This attack speed reminds me of a 420 buffed by something, and this is like a 020 village. So this thing doesn't get any external attack speed buffs, and I think we should be able to see this best on round 49. Okay, so this is my type of round. This is 49. The sniper is on first, so he's not going to be touching any of these ceramics or stronger balloons. He's basically not going to be doing anything. And let me just watch this boom. Watch. Oh my god, look at those bounces. I mean, come on, guys. This thing is attacking way too fast. And this is, keep in mind, without an alchemist and without any top hat village upgrades. This is just by itself. It's a 402 boomer, and it's just destroying everything. The glaives are going around the map. So whatever happens to the Glaive Lord, which we don't even have the money for it, but whatever happens with it, I just know for a fact that the 4th tier, the more glaives, is just really, really good good now. So let's switch the sniper to strong, by the way, because we now have mobs incoming. Yeah, look at this thing. So 52, this has ceramics and mobs, so the sniper is dealing with the mobs, and look at these bounces, guys, come on, it's going all over the map. And something that happened with the 50er actually is that the bounce distance is unlimited, so that means that as long as there's a balloon on screen, those glaives are just gonna keep bouncing to anything. I think that when we get the Glaive Lord, if you think that these bounces are insane, I think that the bounces on the Glaive Lord are just gonna be way too crazy. Okay, so now these next two rounds are my favorite from the 50s, so let's see how we do on these ones. So 57 with a bunch of mobs, and then 58 is just gonna be mobs and ceramics, but the ceramics of 58 are gonna be a little bit spread out, which means that these glaives might not be bouncing this well, or will they? I don't know. I mean, we're still on 57, the small balloons are not even an issue. We have the money for the Glaive Lord, which I'm not gonna buy, by the way, because I still want to see how good this thing is. I'm at a loss for words. This thing is attacking way too fast. I think that they overdid the attack speed, but listen, I'm gonna take it. I'm not complaining. Okay, so now this might be a little bit of an issue because we're gonna need not just the PvP, but we're gonna need some mobs to pop, and it's only a 203 sniper, which I don't want to get the Glaive Lord as I mentioned, but I also don't want to buy the full auto. So let me just see if this is gonna be enough. I don't think it will, by the way, because if we were to beat it like this, we're gonna need some buffs on the boomerang, but let's just see how close it's gonna be. It's kind of close. It's like almost defeated half of it. Okay, so let's finally buff this tower. It's super good so far, but I'm gonna buff it anyway, so I'll just have it like this, and I want to keep the Alchemist a little bit out of range because I want to use this space to buy some other towers. So I'm gonna buy a 420 Alchemist, and let's see if this is gonna, oh my god, look at that attack speed. So look at this BFB now. Look at those bounces go. I feel like, yeah, these bounces are the ones that are gonna be destroying the mobs, and that should be, yep, that's more than enough actually. It's kind of close because it went on these, you know, we went on this upper trajectory, but we still kind of defeated it. Yes, look at those bounces all across the map. This is such a good map for the Glaive Lord. I'm so glad that I bought this thing, and we're not even at the Glaive Lord yet. We still have the, yeah, we actually don't. We spent some money, but we're gonna have the money now in this round, but I'm still not gonna buy it, at least until we reach 64. So I'm gonna try and beat 63 with this 402. Actually, we're gonna see if it's gonna be enough, honestly, because this is what the tower is supposed to be good versus. So let's watch these bounces versus these ceramic balloons, and just look at those glaives go. I mean, come on, guys. I know that the Pierce got reduced, but it doesn't seem to be an issue because it compensates with the extra attack speed, and that seems to be more than enough to deal with these huge waves. So it's still very good versus, you know, cleaning large groups of balloons, it seems like. So we're now at 64, and I feel like this might be the round at which we finally buy the Glaive Lord, and we can finally see the DPS from this orbiting glaive. So it's 20% more damage, but also the damage versus 45 balloons got reduced a little bit, which I think that even though it got reduced a little bit, this is still overall a buff. But I think that the orbiting glaive Spears was set at like some ridiculous number, like it was 50 or something like that. So my question is, what is a good tower, or I was thinking, what is a good hero to pair this with? And I think I have the answer. It's Striker Jones, because Striker Jones now gives 25% Pierce, and these are big numbers which are actually going to do a lot of heavy lifting for a tower like the Glaive Lord. So let me actually start buying up these other towers that I wanted to buy. I want to kind of set these balloons up for the Glaive Lord so that they spend as much time as possible inside of the orbiting glaives. So I'm going to start with a 240 ice, which we're going to use on the DDTs as well later on. We're going to use the ability, and then maybe I'm going to get the absolute zero. I'm not sure. I want to get this thing first. I want to get the relentless glue first. So it's going to be like just a 024, just the usual stuff that we normally do. This thing also got a small buff, which is really surprising and really nice actually. Well, the super glue got buffed, but the relentless glue got a small amount of that buff. It got one extra pierce on the explosion. Okay, so free play has started, and I do want to get the absolute zero now. The absolute zero can attack more class balloons if you pair it with the top crossbat, and it actually slows them down a little bit. So we have two slows, and this is exactly what we wanted to do. We are slowing them from the ice and then from the relentless glue, and we're just keeping everyone inside of the range of the Glaive Lord, because a small problem that we might have is that if a balloon kind of makes it out of this range, then it's probably not coming back because of how this map works. So we either pop them like this, or we're not seeing that balloon again. So I think that this is like a nice combo. Look at those bounces, by the way, because the range is unlimited. It just goes from these ceramics on the right, and then it goes top, and then it moves back to the left, and it just keeps doing that. Right, top, left, right, top, left. It just keeps going. What an amazing change that this is. And actually, just the orbiting glaives DPS, I think it's the MVP change, which we're gonna see how it does in the upcoming rounds, because these, even though we're at free play, these rounds are still a little bit too easy, I feel like. Okay, so 45 BFBs, and we have to beat them before they exit the range, and I feel like we are gonna be beating them. Something that's really good for this map is that the balloon spawns are kind of getting split, so you get half at the bottom and half at the top. So before these guys from the top can even reach the bottom, I feel like a good chunk of just the bottom guys are going to get popped, so the Pierce is not going to get overloaded as much. So 45 balloons might be a little bit of an issue, because we did lose a little bit of extra 45 damage, but I feel like just the DPS compensates for it, right? So round 90, we're gonna have the DDTs, and this is what I'm most interested in. So 20% more DPS. Let's see if these guys can. So it is. Is it though? Okay, so it popped 2 of these. Yeah, it popped all 3 of them. So what is this gonna mean for rounds like? Oh my god, look at those bounces. I'm gonna speed it up. Look at those bounces onto the ceramics. That just looks so good. But how is this going to transition for rounds like 95 and all those DDTs? So if the Pierce gets overloaded, that means that we might have a little bit of an issue. Okay, so now we're starting to get some leaks because the Bloons are becoming a little bit tougher. So these mobs on the side, on the right and on the left are actually came out from the bottom. So maybe we want to get like an overclock NG so we attack a little bit faster. But I'm not sure. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna buy it so I'm ready for it, but I'm not gonna use it yet. Okay, so more DDTs incoming, which is basically the thing that I'm most interested in, and we seem to be popping them while they are inside of the range. And if there is some sort of a stun going on thanks to Relentless Glue, then that just guarantees the popping of these DDTs. So 95 is going to be very interesting, but I also want to see 94 because that's going to be one of the rounds that overloads its Pierce. Okay, so 94, half of the round is coming from the bottom, half from the top, which is really nice, which might buy us enough time for these orbiting glaives to kind of go through these guys, but I feel like the ZMGs are going to leak. Oh no, it actually switches the targeting, so it starts attacking on the right side, so that means that the ZMGs are only getting damaged by the orbiting glaives so far. So they are coming back, but these bouncing glaives, they seem to be dealing with a small amount of the mobs, and they're kind of popping the BFBs into small mobs. And you know what? I feel like we actually have this thing. Yeah, because they're going to come back, right? And they're going to go for a second round because they're coming out from the bottom. Yep, we absolutely have this thing. Okay, that's very good. Okay, so 95, no helping this thing. Absolutely no helping this thing. We have $37,000. If we need to, we can buy whatever we want, but just no helping. We have the slows, and that's about it. So let's see how we do versus these DDTs. This is probably the round that I'm most curious about because as long as you can deal with DDTs reliably, I think that gives the Glaive Lord a little bit more utility, right? So it seems to be popping them. But are they okay? So one of them kind of left the range, but I think got taken care of by an orbiting glaive. So it seems to be dealing with 95 guys. Are we leaking anything on the sides? I'm kind of watching these top ads, but I feel like no, we took care of everything. Nope, that's absolutely beautiful. I love that. So I'm just gonna speed things up a little bit and see if we are leaking small balloons like ceramics or Moabs. I think it's gonna go like similarly to 94, which is basically means that the ZMG is gonna leak, but then eventually they're gonna get popped by the bouncing glaives. And yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So look at these glaives go. So that mob is gonna get popped, which is the first one. And then the ceramics are also going to get cleaned up by the glaives, which I guess as long as the track is long enough, the Glaive Lord is just going to own it, right? That seems to be the case. Okay, so 97 is going to be the first round in which I'm going to overclock this thing just so that we can get some more attacks going. And then that means the more glaives are going to bounce onto the top one, which are kind of glitching below the temple. And I think that we have this thing with the overclock. Without the overclock, no, but with the overclock, I think we have this thing. We might even get a second round of the overclock, actually. And look at those bounces. Yes, that's very good. But we cannot allow this guy to go onto the top side because it's gonna leak from right to left, and we don't have any vision there. So it needs to pop like right now. And I think it actually is. Yes, there we go. Very good. So 98 is out, and it seems to be leaking because the Pierce is getting overloaded, but I guess the silver lining is that these glaives are just picking up the small balloons, picking up the ceramics, cleaning them out all over the map. So even though the orbiting glaives are kind of, you know, they're doing whatever they can, and I guess the damage boost is nice, but I think the MVP in this specific round is the unlimited range on the glaives, because these guys are just picking all these small balloons out across the map. And is it actually going to do it? Are we actually witnessing the Glaive Lord defeating round 98 almost by itself? I think we are. I think it's actually going to happen. That's insane. No way. That's just way too good. Okay, I'm absolutely going to take that. 99, 2 more rounds left. We cannot beat the bad. Okay, we know for a fact that we cannot beat the bad balloon, but let's see how we do versus 4 DDTs. And if we take care of these guys... Oh my god, ceramics? They actually dealt with them. Do I freeze them? I don't think I want to freeze them. Okay, maybe we freeze when they're inside of the orbiting glaze range. So let's do it like this. Let's wait a little bit more, be patient. A little bit more, do it now. Please tell me this is going to be enough. So I see some ceramics there, please. The glaives. I think the glaives actually picked up those ceramics. So as long as we just keep bouncing, just keep the bounces going. Just keep the bounces going. There's like a pink balloon. No way we're gonna lose to the pink. Of course we're not. No, we're gonna lose to ceramics. Okay, so we're not dealing with 45 DDTs, so let's just overclock. I think we found its weakness, guys. We are going to need to freeze these guys as well. So just be patient a little bit more, and I'm gonna use it now. And I feel like these bouncing glaives should be able to wipe the remainder of everything. And yes, there we go. So is it gonna deal with the bat? Let's just watch the damage. So it's 1.8 million, 46,000. Let's see how much damage it's gonna do. I don't think it's gonna do too much. Now it's like 6,000 damage that it did, and it might do a little bit more damage on the way back, but I don't feel like it's gonna deal with this thing. Yeah, so maybe, you know what, let's just deal with this thing. Let's just end it. We have the money for Carpet Spikes. We know for a fact that it cannot beat the bad balloon, but you know what, it deals with everything else really nicely. So let's wait on the passive abilities so that these guys walk into the Glaive Lord, and let's overclock it. Let's use the abilities for one last time, freeze these guys, and that's a new Glaive Lord, which I'm really happy about, because this tower, I have a very good feeling that this tower is now finally going to get moved from D tier at least to C tier, if not more. But I'm really surprised and I'm really impressed by this tower, and that's the new buff Glaive Lord. So that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will see you on the next one.